What's going on YouTube? So as you know, there are a lot of compact SUVs since it is a very popular segment here in the US.
And we're sitting in the heavily refreshed 2024 Nissan Rogue Platinum.
This top dog Rogue has all the latest and greatest features as well as a lot of updates that you want to check out. So, is this the best compact SUV that you can buy? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Alright, so let's start things off under the hood because the Rogue is actually pretty unique from its rivals in this regard. So what you'll find is a 1.5 liter variable compression turbocharged 3-cylinder engine. Now this is making 201 horsepower and 225 pound-feet of torque. As far as the rest of the powertrain, you have a continuously variable transmission and your combined fuel economy is 31 miles per gallon for this Platinum all-wheel drive.
Now, of course, we're going to be testing that out later in this review because we've lived with this Rogue for the past 7 days. So we're going to talk about our real-world fuel economy. And after that, we're also going to be discussing 2 new elements we're integrating into our reviews, predicted resale value and reliability. So you'll certainly want to stay tuned for those discussions.
But before we get into that, we have to take a detailed look at all the changes Nissan has made to the exterior as well as the interior. Now, when it comes to refreshing models, a lot of times you can't really tell exactly what was done. But I think here on the Rogue, Nissan made some meaningful updates that really do make a big difference in the overall appearance. That's going to start up here with the front end design and this grille. So as you can see, what they've done with the V-Motion grille is basically widened it out. So this is going to kind of extend out and actually bump into the headlights themselves. We have this nice gloss black finish that's going to go throughout in the center section, and then our Platinum has these chrome bars that are also going to run through with the new Nissan branding. You again are going to have the piano black finish that goes on your lower fascia, and the Platinum has some silver accents down here at the bottom as well. Now let's also talk about the headlights. These continue to be full LED headlights with the separated housing. So you've got the daytime running light and turn signal indicator up here at the top. And then down in the middle section, this is where you're going to find your LED headlights. These are reflector LEDs for both the low and the high beam. Now as we walk around to the rear design, there are also some updates here in the back and some Platinum exclusive elements.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about that. Of course, up here at the top, we have a pretty aggressive spoiler, an exposed rear wiper, and then our taillights are updated for 2024. So we have a slightly different design. The overall shape is mostly the same, but the inner elements are switched around a bit, and Drew's inside to see if all the elements are LED. We have an LED brake light portion, incandescent, reverse light, and turn signal. So 1 out of 3 elements are LED. That's pretty standard affair for this segment. As far as our branding, this is updated to have the new gray finish for 2024. And then down here in the lower area, this is where those Platinum exclusive elements come in. We have some silver trim to really spice up the overall design, some more of that shiny black. However, no Rogue will have exposed exhaust. And I do want to point out your tow rating is 1,500 pounds.
Now, of course, no refresh would be complete without some new wheel options. Indeed, we do have those on board. You begin with 17-inch alloy wheels, and you work your way up to 19-inch alloy wheels here with the Platinum trim level. This is a new design, and I really like the way these look. You have a lot of spokes, and you also have just this little bit of contrast accents that I think really make this pop, especially when we factor in the fact that we have these gloss black wheel surrounds on the Platinum trim level. This is an exclusive feature, and while it is a small detail, I think it really does make a big difference overall. Now, we're going to have some other gloss elements as well with our mirrors. And in terms of the features you're going to find on board, blind spot monitoring will be standard on all trim levels. Heating starts at the SV level.
Now here at the side of the Rogue, we're going to continue to come in at an overall length of 183 inches long. And as you can see, it's a very good overall design here at the side, and part of that is because we actually have the availability of a two-tone roof. I really like that the Rogue offers that. This is available with 5 different exterior colors. As you can see, we've opted for the champagne color, which I think looks really premium, especially when you pair it with this Platinum model. We also have roof rails up top. That's on SL trim levels and above. And speaking of trim structures, let's talk about the safety systems. Nissan's going to include 3 out of 4 active safety features as standard equipment on all Rogue models. However, I do want to point out that you're going to have adaptive cruise control and their ProPilot Assist on all but the very base S trim level. So the vast majority of them are going to have all 4 active safety features. There is an extremely luxurious cabin, though, that we need to talk about, so let's discuss that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now let's go ahead and check out the interior. First of all, take a look at the key fob. Nissan did update this a year or 2 ago, I can't remember. So you got the newest design with the newest logo. Smart entry and remote start are going to be on the SV trim level and above. Now to get inside, there's not a sensor behind the handle, so just press the little button right there, and that will unlock the door. And then check out the interior. So if you haven't been in a Rogue before of this generation, you'll be very surprised by the amount of luxury you find, especially when it comes to this Platinum trim level. One of the biggest surprises is the seats. So what we have on board is actually a semi-aniline leather seat. That's right, semi-aniline leather. This is one of the highest grades of leather you can get. Kind of straight out of an Infiniti model. We've got the cool quilted design running through. It's very soft and supple with the perforations and the color contrast stitching. And it's super comfortable as well. Now this is available in both black, that you see here, or you can also get an exclusive tan color on the Platinum trim level. Now, of course, other models will come with cloth, leatherette, and real leather. Now, down below, we have our 8-way power adjusting seats with 2-way lumbar support that most trim levels have. And the Platinum trim level is also going to come with 2-person memory seats. But let's go ahead, get out of the rain, and climb inside to take a look at the rest of the cabin materials. So beginning that material tour, we'll go to our door trim first. This is basically going to be covered mostly in a leatherette material. So we've got a nice padded armrest here, soft leather through the center section with the stitching details, and it is padded along the top as well. Those same materials reflect to the upper part of the dashboard. So we have soft touch plastic way up here. Through the center section, you've got the full leatherette with the stitching detail. We also have a very good looking faux wood with this Platinum trim level. I like the way this looks overall. And then down below, nice padded area for your knee to rest against. Everything in here feels very solid and well put together as well. Now we'll fire it up with our push button start. It's actually located right here on the dash. Now let's fire it up. A fitting place to begin will be our gauge cluster. So there's 2 different arrangements with the Rogue. Your lowest 2 trims will come with the 7-inch multifunction display. Your upper 2 trims will come with this 12.3-inch full digital gauge cluster. Always been very complimentary of this gauge cluster because it has very crisp graphics. You can also do some cool things like change the entire meter view to really emphasize what's going on in the center section versus the tach and the speedometer. Now, importantly, when you choose to have the premium package on the Platinum, that's going to throw in this 10-inch head-up display, which can contain things like your navigation information up there. And then as we pull back to the steering wheel, nice leather-wrapped design on board. We have a flat bottom look to this. All the latest Nissan logos. Of course, the steering wheel itself is going to be manual tilt and telescoping, and then heating will be on both the SL and the Platinum trim levels. Now we'll go ahead and go over here to our console. This has the butterfly opening lid, and inside you'll see it is loaded down with donuts. This is Car Confections, and our logo is a donut, so we like to test out how many donuts will fit inside the console to find the volume. The answer for this Rogue is 11. So that's not best in class, but that is pretty good. Obviously that's quite a few to fit inside of the console. And there's still a lot more storage beyond just that. Importantly, you have the floating console area, so you've got the nice pass-through. You could stick a lot of different loose objects down through there. Up top, we have wireless phone charging pad with expanded availability, so this is now on both the SL and the Platinum as standard equipment, and then you've got your 2 nice size cup holders. Now, the pass-through is made possible by the electronic shifter. This is easy to use. Just pull back for drive. You can pull back again if you want to activate the manual shift simulations, and you can do that via the paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Press all the way forward, and this will pull up one of 2 different backup cameras. It'll be 360 backup camera if you choose to have the SL or the Platinum trim levels. Right now the cameras are wet, but normally the resolution on board is pretty good. It also has the moving object detection, parking sensors, and the active trajectory as well. And then just press the P there for park. You have electronic parking brake and brake hold behind that. Now, rising above to the center section, this is where we come to our climate controls. So you are going to find dual zone automatic climate standard across the entire board. And one of the cool things about the Rogue is that you can actually get 3-zone climate control. That's very rare for this segment. It's an available feature on both the SL and the Platinum trim levels and gives you those controls, which Mason will talk about more in a second. In terms of other things you see in this area, I want to point out that we have 3-stage heated seats. These are included on all but the base trim level, but unfortunately, even after the refresh, Nissan still hasn't added ventilated seats like a lot of the rivals are offering on their top spec options. Now, we do have physical controls for things like our audio system, and on board with the Platinum, you're going to go straight to the standard 10-speaker Bose sound system, the highest end option, and we'll give it a sample now. Overall, this system has good pop. Just be aware that, like many Bose sound systems, this one is going to be more on the bass heavy side of things versus more balanced. All right, now big tech improvements up here at the top. This is going to be very important, so pay attention because it definitely matters which trim level you choose. So your lower 2 trims, your S and your SV, those are going to come with an 8-inch display. But the SL and the Platinum trims will come with this new 12.3-inch display. Not only is the display itself larger, but critically, this is running a new software system for Nissan, which is Android Automotive based. So what that means is you have really nice performance here. Even with these complex graphics, this system really doesn't lag or anything like that. It also comes with Google Apps built in. So that means inside of your infotainment system, without even connecting to anything, you're still going to have apps such as Google Maps built right into the system itself. That's very nice. We're also going to get wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, both of them wireless now for 2024 with this 12.3-inch display. Now up top, we have an auto dim mirror with our Home Link universal remote. And then I'll go ahead and slide back the shade here to our panoramic sunroof. This is available on many of the lower trims, but it is going to be standard on the Platinum grade.
And let's talk about the practicality with this Rogue, because many people who buy in this segment are, looking to have their families back here nearly all the time. So this is a very important aspect. So in terms of space, we're looking at about 38.5 inches of legroom, about 39 inches of headroom. That does mean that it compares very similarly to all of its main rivals, like the Toyota RAV4, Honda CR-V. It's a little bit less than, but overall, a good amount of space. I'm 5'9" for reference. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8". And here at Car Confections, one of the things we like to give you guys is a knee room measure, and we're looking at about 8 inches of additional knee space. So plenty of room to move around and wiggle, even if your kids are feeling a little bit more energetic than normal. Now, we do have space underneath the seat for our feet to go under, and then in terms of the seat itself, it does recline. Very small amount, not a ton, but does recline a little bit. Now, in the center, one of the nice features about the refreshed Rogue is that you are going to have standard vents on every single version. However, what's not standard on every version is the 3-zone setup. As you heard Drew talk about in the very beginning, this is optional on the higher-end models, including this Platinum, and we do have the 3-zone ability. So that's a very rare feature you don't see on anything else in the segment, really. And then we also have 3-stage heated rear seats That is also an available option here on the Platinum grades, which is something that some of the competitors don't offer either. 2 USB ports as well. If we fold down the center armrest, 2 cup holders inside. And then as far as the door trim is concerned, yet another feature that is pretty much class exclusive. We have rear window sunshades. I really like that. It's one of those premium elements that you get on something like a Pathfinder brought down to the Rogue. And as far as overall materials, very nicely leather wrapped on the vast majority of it. And we do also have bottle storage in the door. I want to point out my Stanley water bottle can fit in there, so it's a quite large door storage. Now walking up to the tailgate area, we do have a hands-free power tailgate here with the Platinum grade. This is actually one of the first trim levels that you can get that feature on. It is going to be reserved for the higher end models. Now, as far as the space is concerned, 36 cubic feet behind the second row of seats. The seats do fold 60-40 split, and I love Nissan is including the handles. That's something that I find pretty aggravating, that the vast majority of rivals do not include the handles to fold it from the cargo area. They fold 60-40 split and flat with the floor. And one of the things that I want to point out as far as your maximum is 74 cubic feet. So that's a very good figure for this segment. And as far as the overall cargo length, that's something we also measure here at Car Confections. We're sitting at 72 inches of cargo length behind the front row of seats with someone driving at 5'8", and we also have 35 inches behind the second row. As far as the cargo opening, I get a lot of measurements because you guys always request them. So we're sitting at about 43 inches wide. And then as far as overall cargo height from this piece, we are sitting at about 31 inches tall. So a good amount of space for really anything your family is going to need. We do also have this divide and hide cargo floor system. So that allows you to really reconfigure this cargo floor in a bunch of different ways. It's raining today, so we have to keep our camera equipment in the back, so I can't really demonstrate that, but do know that it can do quite a few different things. We also have a spare tire underneath of the floor. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the refreshed Rogue. We have a lot to talk about here over the past 7 days that we've been living with it, as you can see on the screen right now. And we will also be doing our sound level reading officially here in Kentucky. So stay tuned for that. But first, let's get a hard acceleration.
So that was giving it the beans all the way up to 60 miles an hour. And overall, this Rogue is pretty peppy, I would say. So I'll just talk about the power before we get into kind of some real-world impressions. But 1.5 liter variable compression turbocharged 3-cylinder engine, 201 horsepower, 225 pound-feet of torque. So takeaways with those power figures is basically actually more than a lot of the competition at over 200 horsepower, especially on the torque with 225. That's good for this segment, and you can certainly feel that. The way Nissan tunes the overall setup, I think it's really good for getting off the line.
Yeah.
It actually feels quite spry when you first take off. Now, obviously, it is going to kind of run out of breath a little bit if you're really going after it, but I think it gives you this illusion that you have even more power than 225 pound-feet of torque just by the way it takes off originally.
Yeah, definitely that's a little bit different than what you get out of like a standard, gasoline RAV4 or a standard gasoline CRV. The torque is really a unique characteristic with this Rogue, and we've reviewed it many times with this turbo 3-cylinder. We've been impressed with it pretty much every time, and after the past 7 days of living with it, we're continually impressed as well.
Yeah, 3 cylinders, I think a lot of people are skeptical, but I would say try it out because from a power perspective, I really don't think you're going to notice, and you might actually prefer it, as a matter of fact. I know when they made the original switch, we certainly preferred this because of the torquier feel. It is also quieter overall and a more refined engine versus the 2.5 they used to have in the Rogue. So I think when you take it as an all-encompassing package, it is actually an improvement. Now, another element of the powertrain is our continuously variable transmission. This is also something that I think Nissan has really made a lot of strides in recent years. They, of course, have a lot of experience with continuously variable transmissions, and they've done a good job here of making this very responsive and also kind of have, in a sense, a traditional feel, because you do have the shift simulations, and those work even if you're not like hammering down to the ground, because some of the competition really requires you basically go full throttle to get a simulation. This will go ahead and do it anyways, and I think there's going to be a lot of people, if you don't know better, you actually will think you're driving a regular automatic.
Yeah. Now, as far as how the power is routed to the ground, you do have standard front-wheel drive or optional all-wheel drive. And for your fuel economy, I do want to just go ahead and kind of knock this right out of the bat and talk about this. It is rated very impressive by the EPA with this 3-cylinder. That's really the reason why I believe Nissan made the switch to the 3-cylinders, get you that better fuel economy. And we're rated at 31 miles a gallon combined, 34 on the highway, 28 in the city for this Platinum all-wheel drive model. Now, you can get up to 33 mpg combined if you choose front-wheel drive, so that's also very impressive. The one thing I do want to mention, though, is that there is not a hybrid. I'm disappointed by that. And I wish Nissan would add it, but there is no hybrid, so this is going to be your only engine option on this. And, like we said, we lived with this for the past 7 days, so in regards to our real-world fuel economy, Drew can kind of flip through and show us what we're sitting at.
We'll take a quick look at this. Looks like we've done 200 miles of driving and 26.5 miles per gallon. Now, I want to put an asterisk on that, because the combined fuel economy is, of course, highway and city. We have been really exclusively in the city.
And now that we're just kind of cruising along on the highway, let's discuss ride quality. Now, that's one of the really amazing things about having a vehicle for 7 days, is you really get to live with it in different road conditions and situations. And I have been nothing but impressed. I always was impressed with the Rogue in the past, and this has just really solidified it in for me. The seats are incredibly comfortable, especially these semi-aniline leather seats. And then the suspension does a fantastic job of soaking up any really big road intrusions. So I'd say this is one of the best riding compact SUVs that money can buy, without a doubt. We're speeding up to 55 miles per hour to get our sound level reading, so let's go ahead and get it. Nice long sample there. 54.7 decibels is what we are sitting at. Wow, that is very good. And we don't have to sit here and guess. We can actually go to carconfections.com/sound level readings. If you're not picking up on this already, we have a lot of stuff on our website that you may want to check out. So carconfections.com in general is a good place to go. But sound level readings specifically are where we post all of the vehicles that we've reviewed on this channel, which is a lot. And trust me, there's a ton of vehicles that this Rogue competes with, so we can see how it compares. And to confirm, that does place it in the top 5 compact SUVs that we've ever tested out in this channel. So certainly very impressive and quiet cabin. And I just want to kind of add this in, especially here in the Platinum trim level. I think that this kind of feels like an Infiniti Junior. You have a very quiet cabin, the leather seats are very premium, and just overall the cabin experience seems very premium.
Yeah, it's really not all that different when you think about it from a QX50 in a lot of ways, in terms of the sizing and some of the material selections. It is very upscale.
And let's go ahead and get into our slam dunk and airball for the refreshed Rogue, which is our favorite element, our least favorite element. Drew, kick us off with the slam dunk.
So the slam dunk for this week's test, I think, has got to be, we're going to say the overall 2024 updates, but I want to emphasize specifically technology, because the display here is a huge improvement with the everyday usability, having the new software that doesn't lag, and the wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, built-in Google Apps. All that stuff is really, really nice, and we just like the aesthetic that they've done, especially with the Platinum. The exterior improvements really, I think, draw a lot of attention to this vehicle.
Yeah, the Platinum gets a lot more changes than other trim levels of the Rogue this year, so keep that in mind. Now, on the airball side of things, I believe this was our airball last year as well, but like I mentioned, I really wish Nissan would add a hybrid version of this Rogue. In this segment, the vast majority of options are selling like 25 to 50% of all of the models that they sell in hybrid form. That's a huge opportunity for Nissan. They need to get on that and start selling a hybrid version that gets around 40 to 50 miles per gallon.
As we come to a stop here, I will mention the auto start-stop system. Overall, it's mediocre, I guess, in terms of the grand scheme of the segment. You will feel it when it turns off, and you will also feel it when it turns on. So the gold standard, of course, is that it doesn't really bother you. This one here, like that, it turned off for a very short amount of time. Then it turns itself back on in just like, what was that, probably like 20 seconds, it's already back on, and you feel it happen. So overall, that's not fantastic, but you can turn it off, which I think a lot of people will do. We have found ourselves doing that this week.
Now let's talk pricing. As you can see, the entire trim structure is on the screen right now in terms of prices. They are going to rise around $1,000 on all versions for 2024 after the refresh. As far as this particular tester, we have every conceivable option, I believe. Platinum, we have all the option packages plus $1,390 destination, $45,145 as tested today. If you're looking to buy a Nissan Rogue or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation, and we can all stand to save some money nowadays. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. Now let's talk about potential resale value and reliability to make sure you are making a smart purchase. First up, let's talk about resale value. Now, as an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Rogue's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years, this Rogue will be worth 50.5% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years, it'll be worth 16.4% of its original MSRP. Now, it's worth noting that does mean Nissan as a whole does come in quite a bit worse in terms of resale value when you compare it to Toyota and Honda and some of those main competitors. However, it is above industry average still.
We've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index, which takes into account several trusted sources for reliability and combines them in a way that makes it a very useful piece of information for you guys. Now, on our index, Nissan is rated very close to the industry average, just slightly below the industry average compared to all other makes.
Now, if you'd like to check out all of our data about reliability and resale values, as well as learn about our methodology, make sure to head to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a car is a very big decision, and you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. And guys, that's going to be where we leave off on this rainy 7-day review of the 2024 refreshed Nissan Rogue Platinum. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decision, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you help give us more vehicles like this for extensive 7-day long test. If you like our extensive impressions, hit that subscribe button, because by subscribing, you tell Nissan that we should have this vehicle down here. So please do so if you haven't already. If you're already a fan and subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.